Hello and what is up? Welcome back to our channel. I'm Serenity.
I'm Sierra.
And we are the Forky Twins. And today, as you can tell by the title,
we're going to be doing the best books of the books we read of 2022.
We're tier ranking the books that we read in 2022. I read a lot more books than Sierra did because my fall semester was very light and Sierra's was not.
I had a very hectic year of classes.
On my downtime, I just binge read, and on her downtime, she was studying. So there's some differences, and you'll see that as we rank. But there's several books that we both read, so we'll see if we agree or disagree because we do have different tastes in our books. So yeah, we're just gonna hop right in and rank the books. So I have these all on this tier ranker, and I'm just gonna go down the list. So I have All I Want for Christmas by Maggie Knox. Sierra did not read that.
I did not.
I did tell her to read it.
This is a combination of like both the books like we have both read. I read a lot of the same books that she read. She read a lot of books that I did not read.
Correct. So the Maggie Knox, sorry, I'm on my Goodreads. Maggie Knox book, I actually really liked it. It kind of tells a story about it's an enemies to lovers trope, and they're both in a singing competition and they accidentally get paired together and whatnot. I liked the book. I would probably rank it under I enjoyed. It wasn't my absolute favorite because there's so much back and forth between like bickering, like one second they love each other, next second they hate each other, and I just do not like the back and forth and like make up your mind.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. It'd probably be more like a 3.75, but so I rounded to 4. The next book that I have on here, Sierra also didn't read, is Bad Luck Bridesmaid, and this is by Allison Rose Greenberg. I gave it 2 stars. I did not like it, and I would not recommend it. It's just so chaotic. The story like ties up nicely at the end, but it's so chaotic. I just was over it by the time I was done. I was like pulling teeth to finish it, and I was just not having it by the end.
You must DNF'd it.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't. So I put it under do not like. I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads. That's probably generous. It probably was like a 1 star. Just yeah. The next book I read,
I didn't read either because I think I read like 10 books this year, and that's really low.
And I read double the amount, so that's
so sad.
It's okay. So I read Before I Do by Sophie Cousins. It was slow to get into, but it was really cute ending. Kind of had the theme of the grass isn't always greener, so I liked that message. I would probably put it at
mid.
Yeah, I'd probably put it at mid because I enjoyed it. It was a good read, but it took me a long time to get into it. Once I got into it, I was like, okay. And I was, quickly reading through it. But after that, I didn't care.
Yeah, that's true.
Better Than the Movies.
Okay, this is on my to be read list. So I haven't read it yet, but I'm like dying to read it. It's in my stack.
Yeah, keep a lookout for our to be read video. We're gonna do a video of like what we want to read in 2023. Oh my gosh, that rhymes. But anyways, so Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter.
Don't spoil it.
That was my favorite book of 2022. I loved it. It's a young adult romance. It's so lighthearted. It gives you like the same feelings of like watching How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or any of those type of movies. So it just makes you giddy. Like there's a part where I was just like giggling with the character, and I'm like, ugh. So it was so good. Another book. The next book is By the Book. I really like this book. This is by Jasmine Galori. This is the second book in the Disney's Meant to Be series. So Disney has like this Meant to Be series, and each book in the series is written by a different author, but it's a retelling it's like a current day retelling of a Disney story. So By the Book was a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. Really liked it. She works for a book company, a publishing company, and she's she's working with a guy that's writing the book and trying to be his ghostwriter or whatever. And the story just unfolds really nicely, and I liked how the imagery related back to Beauty and the Beast.
This is also on my to be read.
Yeah, I gave this book 5 stars. It was so fun. It was like the perfect amount of funny and lightheartedness. It was just really cute, and I just really liked it. So absolute fave. Finding Cinderella.
I recommended this one. I actually read this one first. It's Finding Cinderella by Colleen Hoover, and it was super, super short, so it was super like quick read, and it was something I could do like when I had like a break in between classes. Such a lighthearted book, so cute. I don't know. I really enjoyed how it was written. I'd probably rank it under I enjoyed, because I felt like it just kind of ended, and I know that there's other books that I could read to probably have a better ending, but I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would agree. I read it in a day, just like one sitting, because it's only like 120 pages, and Cinderella is my absolute, like, one of my favorite stories. So I was very excited to read it, and I enjoyed it. It was the perfect length. It wasn't whatever. There's just some parts that were kind of weird. So yeah. The next book is also on series to be read. It's If the Shoe Fits. It is by Julie Murphy, who also wrote Dumpling, and then she wrote the little Meet Cute.
Oh, the Christmas one?
Yes.
Okay, I DNF'd that book. I read Meet Cute. I started reading it with Julie Murphy and then Sierra something. I can't remember the name. But I heard mixed reviews on it. I couldn't finish it. It was too much, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know. I couldn't get into it. It was about essentially like a adult actor going into Hallmark movies. That's all I know how to say about it. And it just kind of made me like uncomfortable. So I like just couldn't finish it.
Touche. I didn't even try to read it. But I did read, I was really shocked when she said that though, because I read If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. And this was the first book that I read this year, and it really kickstarted me wanting to read more, because it was such a good and cute little story. It's part of the Meant to Be series, and so it's the first one, and it's a retelling of Cinderella, like current day Cinderella. So she goes on like a bachelor type show, essentially, and she's a contestant, but does she find Prince Charming? So it's a kind of cool modern day take on Cinderella, If the Shoe Fits, kind of like the final rose. But she's a shoe designer, so yeah. So it was a really, really, really good story, and I genuinely enjoyed it. So I loved my absolute fave, because I recommend that book to everyone.
Next series that we both read was The Summer I Turned Pretty, because the TV show came out this year, so I read it. I feel like everyone read it. The first book,
mind you, we both read it when we were like 15.
No, you read it. This was my first time reading it. So she read it when she was like younger, and then I read it like kind of older.
She read to
All the Boys That I Loved Before, one of my favorite series by Jenny Han, like by far favorite. And those books came out, I'm pretty sure, after The Summer I Turned Pretty. So I feel like it's a different writing style, I guess. I don't know. It didn't top to All the Boys I Loved Before, because that's like my favorite series. So I guess if I was comparing the two, which I shouldn't compare the two, I felt like they were mid.
I agree.
But I did think it was cute.
I like the story of The Summer I Turned Pretty. I would say like the first one, I think I would put it under I enjoyed.
Yeah.
The second one,
I think I liked this. I want to say I liked the second one better than I liked the third one.
Okay, I think the first one was mid.
The second one I really enjoyed.
Yeah, the second one is It's Not Summer Without You.
It's Not Summer Without You. I enjoyed. And then
the final one was We'll Always Have Summer.
And that one was mid.
It was Team Conrad or Jeremiah?
Yeah, leave it down below. Comment down below. Team Jeremiah or Team Conrad?
Or is it Jeremy?
Yeah, it's Jeremiah.
Okay, I thought I was crazy for a second. Okay.
But overall, I feel like the whole series was like a 3.75. That's what I would rate the whole entire series out of 5.
As a total, 3.75. I definitely think if you haven't read it, read it. But also, doesn't matter.
I feel like there's certain parts about like when I read a book and I watch the whatever to it, the movie, the TV show, whatever it is, I want it to line up like beautifully. And there was just so many things because I had just read it that just didn't line up for me, and it irked me.
She wants those words to just.
I want the words to be translated onto the page because when I read it, I see the entire movie and everything unfold. And when it doesn't do it behind the camera, I get so frustrated.
Yeah, I agree with that. The next book is Last Call. So this is a series by Stacey Hart, and there's 3 books to the series. I read the first 2 in the series, I think during quarantine or maybe 2021. I read it on my phone because the first one was free. So this is the 3rd book, and it's called Last Call. And I think I liked it. The first one's called With a Twist, second one's called Chaser, and the 3rd one's Last Call. So each book follows a different relationship within the friend group. I think similar to how The Deal is. So I think that this one was okay. I didn't love it. I would probably put it under because it was we're breaking up, we're getting back together, we're breaking up, we're getting back together. And I hate that. I'm like, just make up your mind. I don't have time to just resolve your issues. I hate when like it's like they're not communicating, so they're not that's when I would stop reading it, read another book, and then come back to it, and then The next book is Long Live the Pumpkin Queen. This is basically a story after Sally the Ragdoll marries Jack.
From A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, so it's a Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. And it's about Sally after she marries Jack, and just like her feeling in the role as a queen. And yeah, I don't really want to spoil it because I don't know how to talk about it without spoiling it. But it's really cool. Really,
I want to read it. It's definitely on my to be read.
Yeah, it has a lot of imagery. I saw some people saying that like it was unrealistic, so they didn't like it, and I was like, it's literally a fantasy book. So I don't know if it would be mid or I enjoyed. I would say I enjoyed it. It was super duper quick read because it's a young adult fantasy, and it was fun to read, so I would say I enjoyed it. The next book is Luckiest Girl Alive by Jessica Knoll. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. I had this book for a while, and then I saw that the movie was coming out, so I was like, oh, I'll just read it. I thought this was going to be like a thriller, like a Lifetime movie, I Killed My Husband thriller. That's what I thought it was going to be. Like,
fair enough.
I
watched the movie. I didn't read the
something
book.
like that. It's not a book I could read in one sitting. It was very hard to read. I had to take it in dosages. I did not expect the plot to unfold the way it did. I do, however, though, like how one chapter talked about her current time, and then the next chapter talked about her in high school when the incident happened. But it took a long time to discuss what happened and what the incident was, and it just kept alluding to it but not telling you it, and it felt dragged out. I felt like there was unnecessary parts where she could have just revealed what had happened. So I would just say for it, because I think overall it kind of gave a good message at the end, but I do think the ending of the movie was better than the ending of the book, because the book just kind of ended abruptly. So if you feel like if you read this book or have read this book and you just felt like the ending just like ended, I definitely watched the movie, but I did fast forward during some of the scenes in the movie.
Yeah, there's no trigger warning for the movie.
There's no trigger warning. There's no trigger warning for the books or anything like that. So if you want to read the book or want to watch
do your
the movie,
research before.
Yeah, look up trigger warnings. Yeah, so, and the narrator, very unreliable. I hate an unreliable narrator. Like, I know some people like it, and I think that that's like the point, but I don't know, mixed opinions. So I would just say
next one.
Sorry.
Some call it love.
Some call it love.
I read this on my iPad. It was just like a random book.
A random free book on iBooks.
I liked it.
Don't knock the free books on iBooks, because some of them are straight up bangers.
I thought this was a really, really good book. Like,
yeah, this was
I think I gave it 5 stars.
Peis. It was so quick to read. It was so cute.
I liked the characters. It was super funny. Like, if you just want like a funny like romance novel, I would recommend it because it was just, I don't know, there's something about those characters that you just fell in love with, and I feel like she did a really beautiful job at developing the characters. And I hate it when they, like, the characters' relationship doesn't feel fully developed. And I just feel like their relationship wasn't rushed. Nothing was rushed. I felt like
it was the perfect length.
It was the perfect length of a book. Like, I genuinely enjoyed it.
Did you say absolute fave?
Yeah, it was one of my favorites this year.
Next one. Sierra didn't read it. She probably won't read it. It's called Stepsister by Jennifer Donnelly. I was so excited to read this because it was like a dark, twisted take on Cinderella. And I was trying to dip my toe in the fantasy world this year because I've never really been one to read fantasy books. So I was so excited. And this just was not it. I did not like it. I would not recommend it. It was like oddly graphic and like parts that it shouldn't have been, like in terms of like killing an animal and stuff like that. And I skim like, but it's not like it was just like a paragraph. It was like a couple pages long. So definitely heads up on that if you want to read this. Or any other books. I don't know that she writes. I don't know if that's how all her books are. But yeah, it was definitely hard to get through.
Let me put it as I did not like, would not recommend.
Yeah. Next, we both read the next one.
James Patterson, Sunday at Tiffany's.
I love James Patterson, and Sundays at Tiffany's was...
I read this a few years ago.
Yeah.
So, but looking back at it, like...
I read this in a day or two.
I loved it. It was one of my favorite books that I've ever read. But I am a huge James Patterson fan. I love how he writes. I love everything. The concept of the book is like
weird.
Like she's
falling
best
in
friends
love
with her
with
imaginary friend. And you just have to trust the process. But personally, I would recommend this book to everyone. It is one of my absolute favorite books. So I give it 5 stars.
You put it at, I loved.
Absolute favorite. Yeah, it's one of my favorite books.
I would probably just put it as I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I just really
But
liked it.
Sierra loved that book. There are some James Patterson books that I just absolutely love, like First Love. I read it in high school though. I don't know where it is. If I want to find it so I can reread it. I loved that book. But yeah, James Patterson, he's a goat. Chicken Sisters. So this was part of the Reese Witherspoon book club. I just picked it up because it was on clearance at Barnes & Noble and we love a deal.
Mid.
It was mid. It really was. It wasn't a bad story. It's about it's felt like a Hallmark movie. It was about like these two competitor like chicken restaurants. And,
I started reading that.
Yeah, it was cute.
I did start reading it.
However, I was mad because the whole point of the book was they were competing against each other, and you didn't know what happened. Like they didn't tell you who won. You had to like figure out for yourself, and that just irks me. I don't like that.
Give me an answer.
Yeah. So that's why it's mid. The next book is The Deal. I got the first book free on iTunes or iBooks. So if you have an iPad or an iPhone or whatever, I definitely recommend getting it for free and reading the first book of the series because it was so cute.
I liked it.
Garrett Graham.
I
love hockey players.
I would put it under I enjoy.
Yeah, I would too. I gave it 4 stars because there were some parts that were weird, but
that just, were to a sense kind of unrealistic. Like, I can't spoil it, but it's just like,
yeah. It's a good book, and I definitely don't think that you'll regret reading it. I love Garrett Graham. I picture him as Tom Wilson. Love him, and yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Next book is Lisa Jewell's Family Upstairs, and this was the first thriller that I read this year, and I was super duper excited about it. I really liked the way Lisa Jewell writes, and I hear that she writes some amazing thrillers, and I haven't gotten my hands on all of them yet, but I definitely want to. I gave this 3 stars because the ending and the narrator just felt unreliable, and I think that was the point. You weren't supposed to kind of believe him, and it switches between different perspectives, but the last person that talks, I was like, you seem sus. I don't really believe you. There's more to what you're telling me.
Fair enough.
And so that's why I would probably put it under mid. But I think once I read The Family Remains, I would have a different opinion. But yeah, there's still so it just leaves you keep reading it because you just have so many questions. So it's definitely a page turner. And yeah. Next one was Too Late. This is another free book that I got on iBooks. We're college students.
This is on my to be read too.
We love free books.
Was it good?
Yeah, it's kind of like have you ever watched like the Hallmark shows like Murder, She Wrote? Or the one that has the old guy, I call it the grandpa show. It's kind of like that. So it's a mystery, but it's not like...
It's not as page turner.
Yeah, well, no, because it was page turner because you're like following along with him, but it wasn't like a scary thriller or...
I could read that then.
Whatever. Yeah, you could read it at nighttime and not be scared to go to bed.
Okay.
So yeah, it was really interesting. The guy is an ER doctor at like a really like he's probably
I started reading this.
He's probably the like biggest doctor in the area, like surgeon, very good name, and someone had been killing his previous patients.
No, I literally started reading this. Okay.
Yeah.
I started reading this, but my semester is crazy and I had
So
to
he
stop.
takes a leave of absence to work with the FBI or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was
I
really
forgot about
interesting, and there are other books in the series, so I definitely think that I might check them out. I would probably put it under enjoyed because I really did enjoy it. It was super easy to read, a quick read. Yeah.
This next one's on my to be read.
This is the last book.
I got a lot of reading.
We Were Liars. This was all over Book Talk. Like, all over it. It was everywhere. I freaking scrolled, and I was like, I gotta read it. I want to read it. Everyone's like, this book tore me apart. People were emotional. People were like, this had me on the edge of my seat. No, I did not even, it was I didn't like it. People were crying. I said that they were crying. I was like, where? Like, maybe I just don't have that sympathy bone or something for the main character, but
That's so funny.
the main character was a spoiled brat. It didn't make me cry. I don't know. So if you have a different opinion, please tell me. I want to hear it. I don't know. Yeah, I really want Sierra to read it because I want to hear what her opinion is. I do have to say though, I was not expecting the plot twist, so I will give it props to that. But the plot twist was just kind of weird.
That's our books of 2022 though.
But yeah, that
That's
wraps up our books of 2022. Stay tuned for more books. I was thinking about maybe tier ranking our books at the end of each month that we read.
Cool.
Or maybe just doing a
Or
recap.
just recap it.
Yeah.
Because I've already read 4 books this month.
Me too. So yeah, keep an eye out for that and like and subscribe so you don't miss anything. And thanks for tuning in. Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.